Shabbat Shalom, family. Glory and honor to the Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, our creator and our most high. And to Messiah, the only begotten Son, the blood covering for our sin, the one that sits face to face with the Father on our behalf, and the soon returning King of planet Earth, given to him by the Father. Glory and honor to Messiah, Yahweh Shai, to Father Yahweh. Greetings, Sister Love Blue, Sister Josie, Brother Brandon Beckman, Sister Katura, Brother Baldy Thorpe. Greetings, Brother Chef, and Brother Gabar Yah, Brother Gary Joseph, Superstar. Greetings to all of you. We're continuing our study today in Ezekiel chapter 16. What a difficult chapter. This is not difficult to understand, but the Father really is expressing himself through his prophet Ezekiel to his servants. You know, the other day, as you saw, I got a little emotional talking about my mother. And the thing is, it's very interesting. My mother and my stepmother are like the difference between Israel and heathens. What do I mean? Let's look at Leviticus chapter 18. Leviticus 18 is a good chapter to reveal to heathen that are in Christianity and telling you that the Old Testament is done away with, because it gives you a list of the things that the children of Ham from Canaan did. And the Most High chose that land to take from Canaan to give to his chosen people. And at the end of Leviticus 18, after it goes through a litany of the sins, including men should not be with men and women should not be with women, including sodomy, including all the types of things they did to children, it says why all of these things. And again, for those people claiming the Old Testament is done away with, they're being willfully ignorant and possibly on the verge of losing their own soul, because the Most High's word is true through and through. So here in Leviticus chapter 18, I'm going to start at verse 24. Leviticus chapter 18, I'm going to begin at verse 24 and go down to verse 30. Leviticus chapter 18 from verse 24 to verse 30. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, the things previously discussed. For in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it. And the land itself vomits out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, that which were before you, and the land is defiled, that the land spew not you out also when ye defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore, ye shall keep mine ordinances, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am Yahweh, your Most High. So these abominations that are listed in Leviticus chapter 18, that the Father described as defiling the land, and because they defiled the land spewed them out of it. As we're reading Ezekiel, and we were looking at chapter 8 the other day, and we saw that the children of Israel were committing all of the same abominations. The difference is they're the children of Israel. Okay? And what we must understand is once the Most High chooses a people as his chosen people, that never changes. That never changes. So, for example, a person can have a child, and there are things that they would not permit around themselves that they may permit their child to practice in front of them. Y'all hearing what I'm saying? So there are things that your child might do that nobody else would be able to do because that's your child. That's different. Not that you're happy when your child does things that you don't want them to do, but you have more grace upon your own child. That's the difference between Israel and everybody else. Okay? That's the difference between Israel and everybody else. In fact, Moses said such in the book of Exodus. And if you look at the book of Exodus, let's go to chapter 33. In fact, when I just turned the page, I opened right up to it. Exodus chapter 33. And I'm going to read Exodus 33 from verse 13 down to verse 16. Exodus chapter 33 from verse 13 to verse 16. Now, therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For wherein shall it be known here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. The Most High has declared that Israel is his chosen people. And he has, even though the Bible does say the land did spew us out. That's why we're not there no more. That's why heathen are there now. But he also promised that with great mercy, he will bring us back. Because as bad as we were, and we was bad, we still his people. And being his people, and being that we are part of a promise, and that's what Paul talks about. Paul talks about the promises the Father made to Abraham, and that the promises don't change because they receive the law. The promise is forever. And now with the promise, there is also a prophecy. So as he's promising, and let's take a look again, Moses teaches us this in Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Looking at verse 2, I believe. Yes. Deuteronomy 14, verse 2. I'm actually going to read verse 2 and 3. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2 and 3. For thou art an holy people unto Yhwh thy most high. Yhwh hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. So the Father says here that he has chosen Israel as a holy people unto himself. That means they are set apart from everybody else for him. And in that, there's a promise. They're going to be his holy people. So while we have been spewed out of our land, while we have been put in the most abominable chattel slavery, that does not change who we are. It does not change his love for us. It does not change his promise that to Abraham that his seed would become a great nation. None of that changes. Okay. People wanted to change to make themselves take the place of us, but that will never happen. That will never happen. So his word in saying we will be his holy people above all the nations that are upon the earth, he's also showing us that we're going to be holy people, that we're going to be obedient, that we're going to be holy and righteous before him. So while many of us will be spewed out, while all of us have been punished, he promises we're still his. And that is why, again, take a look while we're in Deuteronomy, let's go back to chapter 5, Deuteronomy. And chapter 5 of Deuteronomy is also another place where the covenant is repeated. It was given in Exodus chapter 20 on Mount Sinai. And in chapter 5 of Deuteronomy, these be the words. There's a repeat. Moses repeats the covenant. And let's start in verse 6. This is Deuteronomy chapter 5, beginning at verse 6 and verse 7, actually verse 6, 7, and 8. I am Yhwh, thy most high, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have none other gods before me. Thou shalt not make any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Verse 9. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. I, Yhwh thy most high, am a jealous most high, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So, brothers and sisters, we will always be the chosen people of Yah. We always was, and we always are. No matter what has happened to us, no matter how other gods, and this is the thing, that's why we're so careful about worshiping the one we call the Creator. There's only one of those, okay? And any religion, especially a religion, is not what we're looking for, because a religion comes from man. The Creator comes from nobody. The Creator has not made a special religion and put a name on it. The Creator made a nation of people, and he called them Israel. That's his nation of people. Now, again, we're going to look at a couple of very familiar passages of scripture to bring this point home. Psalm 147. Psalm 147. And we know these scriptures because we go over them quite a bit to prove who we are and why it's important. Again, in our conviction, the Bible never goes away. The word of the Most High is eternal. It's forever. It never changes. That's our conviction. We don't say this is done away with. This is nailed to the cross. The Bible is forever. So when he said we're his chosen people above all the people of the earth, it's forever. Praise the Most High. Okay? And us awakening now is part of the promise that we would be his chosen people forever. Because he said he would have an awakened people. And it shall come to pass when all these things come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where thou hast been driven, and shalt return unto Yahweh. He already knew that was coming. He already knew we would be here. And he already knows what's just ahead of us. Praise the Most High. So Psalm 147, verses 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. Hallelujah. So, brothers and sisters, these words that we're reading in the Old Testament, Psalms we read, Deuteronomy we read, right? Leviticus we read, Exodus we read. We're the first people on planet Earth to receive these words. There was no civilization that received them before us. Anyone talking like that is lying, because this word says no other nation has received these words. As for, he said, I have not dealt so with any nation. So aside from people from Shem, who came from Eber, who became the Hebrews, and come through Abraham, whose name was changed to Abraham, and come through Isaac, who was named by the Creator, and his son that he named Jacob became Israel. Aside from us, nobody has had these words. And the reason it's been translated into English for us is because of us. Because we have committed the abominations that the heathen committed. And we were brought into the lands of the heathen, as he said we would be. And we have learned the language of the heathen, and we have gotten the names of the heathen, and we started worshiping their gods. Before we were awakened, we were worshiping their gods. Now that we're awakened, he brings us back to his word, having that word translated by people from England. I mean, it was translated by Germans, it was translated by other peoples, but people from England translated this King James for two reasons: to show us where we fell from, because we don't know our names, we forgot our language, and it all started because we forgot our God. And the second reason is to allow the opportunity for the heathen to receive his word. See, Paul talks about being the chosen people. Paul talks about coming to the Most High. He quotes the word to the heathen all the time that he's teaching them, because what he's doing is bringing them into the realm of the chosen people. Okay, that's what he's doing. He is not joining the heathen. He's having the heathen join his people. Okay, and so the heathen have an opportunity through us to get this word. Okay, to get this word. Praise the Most High. Okay, so because he has only shown us this word, we were the first ones to receive this word. We are the original people to receive the 10 Commandments. Nobody received it before us. And as he says in it, he is Yhwh that brought us out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. That's very specific and personal. The group of people he's talking to are people that were in bondage in the land of Egypt, which is also called Mizraim. He's very specific about who that is. Okay, very specific. And ain't nobody in Europe was there. Ain't nobody from Europe was there. Nobody from Yhwh was there. So we are the original people to receive this. It was designed for us. We were designed to be a nation that would teach the earth the statutes and judgments of the Father. That is why you had an Apostle Paul. Because our people, by and large, started worshiping a man-made religion that we can now call Judaism. That wasn't from the Father. Judaism is a man-made religion with man-made rules. And they've even added to it over the centuries. And they created another book called Talmud, neither of which is from the Creator, neither of which was his work. We are the work of the Heavenly Father. We are his work. Okay? He brought us into existence and he named us. And here, in these last few years of the history of Babylon, which is where we live at the end, we're in the toes of the statue of Daniel too. He's bringing us back. He's awakening us. He's having us depend on his word. He's bringing his spirit upon us. And he's getting us ready to meet him and the Messiah face to face. You know, the Messiah and Moses were the only two that the Bible records spoke to the Father face to face. Moses spoke through him through a dark cloud, but Messiah speaks to him face to face. So Messiah is not only the covering blood, the Passover blood to cover us. He's also our intercessor to speak with the Father about us face to face. And the Father gives him the word that says, okay, it's time to go get my people. That's what the second return of Messiah is about. He's coming to get his people and the people that are with us. Praise the Most High. To worship the only true God that gave us first the statutes and judgments. Okay? That's right. His Messiah is the covering, atoning blood of the Lamb over the doorpost. And not only that, he's the intercessor that can speak to our Father face to face about us. And not only that, when the Father has ordained that this part is finished, this intercessory part, he has given the power and the land of the earth to Messiah. Okay? So Messiah will come and claim his kingdom. Praise the Most High. Land is very, Malcolm X did a very powerful speech once on revolution. I listen to it all the time. I heard they had Mos Def stand up and read the speech, and he didn't do it justice. Not to me, because I listen to it all the time. I could say it by heart. But what he was saying was what makes a nation is land. Okay? He said a revolution is fought to become a nation and obtain land. And the Father has given us land, and we're going to have it. And right now, we're a nation of people with no land. Okay, we're a scattered nation because in our scattered state is what we find ourselves in because of our abominations in defiling the land we had. But we're a scattered nation, and we're going to receive land. Praise the Most High. That's right. It's going to be a large parcel of earth that was Canaan. It's going to be ours. And the New Jerusalem is going to come down from the Father, made by the Father, and rest on that land. And we're all going to be there too. Praise the Most High. Very shortly. Praise the Most High. Yes. All right. So I say all this, we went through all of this to illustrate how much care and love and instruction the Heavenly Father shared with us and only us, which is why, of course, we know the scripture in Amos chapter 3, Amos chapter, is it 3? Yes, chapter 3. Yeah, verse 2. Amos chapter 3, verse 2. You only, again going with Psalm 147, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. So again, Moses talked about it in Deuteronomy. David talked about it in Psalms. And Amos talked about it in Amos. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. There's only one chosen people. And because we're the only ones that were given these statutes and commandments, he punishes us harder, but he also prepares us for deliverance. He also prepares us for deliverance. As he punishes us, he also prepares us for deliverance. Again, I was just reading this one this morning. This is the book of Lamentations. Lamentations is right after Jeremiah. It's actually written by Jeremiah. It was Jeremiah reading the post-destruction of Jerusalem. It was his witnesses of that in Lamentations chapter 3. I'm going to read from verse 18 of chapter 3 of Lamentations, from verse 18 down to verse 26. This is Lamentations chapter 3, from verse 18 to verse 26. Powerful words. And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from Yhwh. Remembering mine affliction and my misery, The wormwood and the gall, my soul hath them still in remembrance, and is humbled in me. This I recall to mind. Therefore have I hope. It is of Yahweh's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Yahweh is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. Yahweh is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of Yahweh. Yes, I was meditating on this today because I realized this. From this point, brothers and sisters, from your awakening all the way to the sighting of the Messiah, you're going to spend a lot of time waiting. You're going to spend a lot of time waiting, waiting for deliverance, waiting to hear from the Most High, waiting, because that's what he ordained us to do. I was saying the other day, some time back, that the trials always seem longer than they are, because why? We are waiting. We're waiting on the Most High. Brothers and sisters, I don't have to tell you, one of the hardest things to do on planet Earth for the human being is to wait. That's one of the hardest things to do, to wait. And he says, he is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of Yahweh. That's the hardest thing to do. Many times we make moves when we should have been what? Waiting. We should have been waiting, and we making moves, right? So he has mercy on us. That's why we're still here. You see, brothers and sisters, I bring this out a lot. You have to understand, we did not come here, as Malcolm said, we did not come here on the Mayflower. Somebody asked Dr. Martin Luther King, I got the interview, short interview. A Caucasian reporter asked him, what is it with black people? And he said, what? He said, other groups came here to the shores as immigrants and make it. How come black people can't make it? And Dr. King said, what the white man must remember is that we're the only people that served as slaves on American soil. We did not come here as immigrants. We were kidnapped and brought here. Brothers and sisters, there is no other people on planet Earth that could say that. No, nobody. We were kidnapped and brought to countries by Europeans as slaves. We did not come to Ellis Island like the Italians or the Polish or the Irish or the English or the Scottish or the French or the Germans or the Portuguese. We did not come to Ellis Island. We came to this country in the bottom of a ship with chains on. And brothers and sisters, that makes us different from any other people ever. And yet, in spite of the chattel slavery, and that's why people are willfully ignorant. They talk about, the Bible talks about slavery. The Bible doesn't talk about chattel slavery. The Bible talks about indentured slavery. That's two different things. When you're a chattel slave, you are bred to be a slave. You are bred with other chattel slaves for the purpose of being a slave. You will always be a slave. You have to understand that. The fact that we are now become, over the time, different. Like, what am I saying? Like, for 244 years, we worked in hot fields for free, under whips and lashes, picking cotton, sugarcane, tobacco. For more than almost 3 centuries, we did that. Then once that was broken, which was a sign, we started voting, we started building, and we were rebuilding this nation after the Civil War, which was fought over slavery, no matter what they self-delude themselves into thinking. And then they created Jim Crow, and they created redline, and they created crack, and they tried their best to bring us someplace to kill us, to use us and then kill us. But we're still here. And some of us are getting educated, and some of us are being successful in their system, and some of us are building because it's changing. That alone tells you it's changing. They don't want that. The last thing a slave master wants is the person they once enslaved to be equal with them. Period. The last thing a slave master wants is the person that they had as a chattel slave to be equal with them. They don't want that. I don't care what they tell you. And if we wasn't here, if we wasn't in this society or in any society, if we didn't exist, you'd see healthcare, everybody would have it. Everything would be equal. But they don't make it equal because, number one, they're greedy. Human problem is going to always be greed and lust for power. Because that comes from Asatan himself. Number two, they want to stop us from getting it. They won't allow everybody to get free healthcare because we have to get it then. And they don't want that. When they did the New Deal under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, they were giving farmers subsidies. There were conservatives at the time that didn't want it. Why? Because then that meant if they gave it to all farmers, they'd have to give it to black farmers. And there were people actively trying to stop black people from getting the subsidies. So that they didn't want anybody to have it because they didn't want us to have it. Then they created the Federal Housing Authority to help people buy homes. They purposely did not give it to black people. White people could do it. There's whole towns on Long Island where I grew up that were made from FHA because they were giving white people loans to build new houses, to build and buy a new house. Not us, though. When my mother and father bought our first house, a white man signed the mortgage. His name was Samuel Carr. And I'll never forget, I used to get the mortgage in the mail. I come home from school first and I get the mail. And I knew it was the mortgage because it said something mortgage company, but it always said Samuel Carr. And I said, that's not our name. I didn't understand it. But then I got it. Samuel Carr signed the mortgage papers because my parents couldn't get the mortgage. Not that they couldn't qualify. They were black. They weren't going to get the mortgage. Samuel Carr got the mortgage. Okay. So there's things that could happen in this society that are not happening because we have to get it too. They don't want that. They don't want that at all. That's why you see everything that they propose in the government is always like, you got to make this amount of money or less, or you got to live here or do that. They're trying to stop us from getting anything that they could get. But in spite of that, here we are. We're still here. We have built cities. We have built cities. We have built Black Wall Street. We built Ocoee. We built Wilmington. We built St. Louis. And they burned it all down. They burned it all down. And even in some cases, like with Move in Philadelphia, they bombed it just to stop us. But we're still here. And why? Because the Creator ordained us to be. See, so we're learning and we're returning to our Creator, but we have to come a long way to get to the point we're at right now, brothers and sisters. It was a long road. Y'all know it was a long road. Daniel was told the time is long. Thousands of years. Okay, thousands of years. And we look, this is the 40th Jubilee in 2027 from Messiah. The 40th. That means it's been 2,000 years from when Messiah announced the Jubilee to next year. The time is long, brothers and sisters. And so the Father has brought us all through that. He brought us through Christianity. He brought us through Islam. He brought us from the oppression, the financial oppression that Judaism put on us, and they did. He brought us through all of that. And here we be. And then we're moving forward. As we're getting into his word and his spirit, he's forming us in like he promised he would. We're returning to him, and he's going to deliver us. He said, then I will turn your captivity. Brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter what the president is planning. It doesn't matter what Wall Street is planning. It doesn't matter what the House, the Senate, Supreme Court is planning. It doesn't matter. The Bible is going to come to pass just as the Father showed it to us, because we're just what he described, brothers and sisters. There's nothing they could do about that. Praise the Most High. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 16. This is hard. And again, because we're the only ones that have received the statutes and commandments of the Yah, we're the only one he shared that with. We're the only one he called his chosen nation. As we did what the heathen did, he takes that personal. And again, this is why, brothers and sisters, we are so careful to place false images on our God, to place false images on our Messiah. That's why we are careful to say he ain't no European man. And some of the heathen will say, well, it doesn't matter what he looks like. Yo, yes, it does. Right? Yes, it does. Just like you got to get his name. You got to get the name of the Father and the Son. They got a name. See, if they didn't have a name, why would he introduce his name to us? And he introduced it to us. He didn't introduce his name to nobody else, to us. Why would it not matter if he gave us his name? If I walk up to you and say, my name is Raw, and you call me Cooked, would I recognize Cooked? That's not my name. See? So the people that try to trivialize the truth, and that's what they're doing, trying to trivialize. This is not the way it went. Oh, this color doesn't matter. The people that created race going to tell you that. There's some sad people, man. Some sad people, man. So yeah, we're very careful. We know the Messiah is a brown man. We know the Father, the original being that created everything is a brown man with a rainbow over his head. You know, he created Adam from dirt. As far as I remember, dirt is brown, isn't it? Dirt ain't pale. Dust thou art, to dust thou shalt return. Right? So we got to know who we are. They could argue till the cows come home. We don't care. Because the Father's word is forever. See, once the Father gives a word, whatever else is said or done doesn't matter. His word is forever. So he takes our sin personally. And just as personal, y'all should remember, he takes our repentance personally. That's why the word said, showing mercy to thousands that love me and keep my commandment. That is thousands of generations. He said the Most High blesses his word to 1,000 generations. So as he punishes us, he's going to bless us as his word promises. Praise the Most High. So we're going to go through some heavy stuff here in Ezekiel chapter 16. But you understand why it's got to be so heavy, because the Father takes our worship of the idols personally. Okay, personally. Ezekiel chapter 16, beginning at verse 1. So he's going to go into our history, and he's using imagery and parables in this part right here. And you're going to see some powerful stuff, man. So Ezekiel chapter 16, beginning at verse 1. And I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 7. Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. And as for thy nativity, in the day that was born, thy navel was not cut, neither wast thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. None I pitied thee to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee. But thou wast cast out in the open field, to the loathing of thy person, in the day that thou wast born. And when I passed by thee, and I saw thee in thine own blood, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Yea, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Verse 7. I have caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field, and thou hast increased and waxen great, and thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, thy hair is grown, whereas thou wast naked and bare. So he's describing us as two heathens, an Amorite and a Hittite. Now, we didn't really come from that bloodline, as you know. We came from Shem. But he's showing how low we were when he found us, how low we were when he brought us out of Egypt. Okay. We were some wild Hebrews. And you see, we still are. Praise the Most High. But no, he's saying, I caused you to live. I did you right. Verse 8. Now, when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant with thee, saith the Most High Yahweh, and thou becamest mine. Verse 9. Then I washed thee with water, yea, I thoroughly washed away thy blood from thee, and I anointed thee with oil. Verse 10. I clothed thee also with broidered work, and shod thee with badger's skin, and I girded thee about with fine linen, and I covered thee with silk. Verse 11. I decked thee also with ornaments, and put bracelets upon thy hands, and chains on thy neck. And I put a jewel on thy forehead, and earrings in thine ears, and a beautiful crown upon thine head. So he found this woman. She was dirty. She was bloody. She was nasty. He covered her, cleared her up, cleaned her up, made her into a beautiful woman, dressed her, put gold on her. Man. Verse 13. Thus wast thou decked with gold and silver, and thy raiment was of fine linen and silk embroidered work. Thou didst eat fine flour and honey and oil. Thou wast exceeding beautiful. Thou didst prosper into a kingdom. Again, he's likening Israel unto a woman. See that? He's likening Israel unto a woman. He's describing a woman. And he said, I found you. I hooked you up. You was all messed up. You was dirty. I cleaned you up. Gave you life. I made you beautiful. I dressed you nice. I set you up. Okay. Verse 14. And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty. For it was perfect through thy comeliness, which I had put on upon thee, saith the Most High Yahweh. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and played the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornications on every one that passed by. His it was. So you got a woman. She was a chaste virgin for the Father. He gave her clothes. He dressed her up. He made her beautiful. She grew into a beautiful woman. But then she started having sex with other men. Now, what is that, brothers and sisters? That's Israel worshiping other gods. Do you understand? So when he says, when anybody that came by was there, that means anybody with any God that came by, we was worshiping it. Whether it was the Philistines' God, the Amorites' God, the Hittites' God, the Egyptian gods, the Babylonian gods, whichever one that came by. Oh, it's a new God. Let's worship that. He said, after I did this for you, you're going to give your stuff away to everybody? How would you feel? You met a woman. She was in trouble. You helped her. You helped her and you dressed her, clothed her, housed her, provided for her. And then you come home and there's some other man in bed with her. That's rough. After you did everything you did for her, she shows her appreciation by spreading her legs for some other guy, the mailman, the plumber, the next door neighbor. Verse 16. And of thy garments thou didst take, and decked thy high places with divers colors, and played the harlot up thereupon. The like thing shall not come, neither shall it be so. Thou hast also taken thy fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I had given thee, and madest to thyself images of men, and did commit whoredom with them. So you made gods out of the jewelry I gave you. You melted it down and made an image of other men that you could worship. Pretty rough, huh? Verse 18. And tookest my broidered garments and covers them, and has set mine oil and my incense before them. So these people that worship other gods, you set the holy oil before them. You set holy garments before them. You gave what the Father gave you, what your man gave you, you gave to some other dudes. Verse 19. My meat also, which I gave thee, fine flour and oil and honey wherewith I fed thee, thou hast even set it before them for a sweet savor. Thus it was, said the Most High Yahweh. You remember we read chapter 8 and we saw all the stuff they put into Solomon's temple, all the images they put in there, and people worshiping the sun in there. And that temple was built for Yahweh. That's what he's talking about. Verse 20. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this thy whoredoms a small matter, that thou hast slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them? Brothers and sisters, you think Planned Parenthood is a good thing for us? Why is Planned Parenthood in all our neighborhoods? Why if somebody got to find a Planned Parenthood, they got to come to a neighborhood of ours? They want us to kill our children. They want us to kill our children. More babies of so-called black people are born dead than so-called Caucasian people. You think that's accidental? They want to try to put a check on our growth in population. But we're still here. Praise the Most High, we're still here. Verse 22. And in all thine abominations and thy whoredoms, thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, when thou wast naked and bare, and was polluted in thy blood. Verse 23. And it came to pass after all thy wickedness, woe unto thee, saith the Most High Yahweh, that thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and has made thee a high place on every street. High places are places of heathen worship, like churches with crosses on them. Verse 25. That has built thy high place at every head of the way, and has made thy beauty to be abhorred, and has opened thy feet to every one that passed by, and has multiplied thy whoredoms. Thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptian. Be careful here, y'all. He's describing the spiritual wickedness as pornography here. Pornography. Watch. Verse 26. Thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians, thy neighbors, great of flesh, and has increased thy whoredoms to provoke to anger. They started worshiping the gods of the Egyptians that they were left, that they were taken from in Egypt. They went back and worshiped God. Brothers and sisters, this is why the captivity was so hard. That's why it's so hard. And this is why our awakening is so strong. The awakening is strong. The return to Yahweh is strong. Just as the whoredom was strong, the repentance is also strong. Brothers and sisters, the Most High has kept us and made us a strong people. Praise the Most High. Verse 27. Behold, therefore, I have stretched out my hand over thee, and have diminished thine ordinary food, and delivered thee unto the will of them that hate thee, the daughters of the Philistines, which are ashamed of the Philistines were ashamed of some of the things we was doing. That's how bad it was. Philistines are heathen. That's where you get the fish god, and they were ashamed of some of the things. See, brothers and sisters, that's why I say to the sisters are the physical manifestation of the children of Israel in the spirit. So you see, sisters, it's important. It's important that you become women of honor. Don't care what you was before. Mary Magdalene is the example. She wasn't honorable, but she became a woman of honor. She became one. That's the same way the Father's looking at us as the children of Israel. We were here, and we're coming back to where he wanted us to be from the beginning. And the sisters, you see, brothers and sisters, you know, how you dress, how you carry yourself. You are a representation of the assembly of Israel. You are our representation. Okay, you're our representation. And that's why any man that tries to put their hand on you inappropriately, we take that personally, because we're protecting what represents our nation. You see? Yeah, praise the Most High. Verse 28. Thou hast played the whore also with the Assyrians, because thou wast unsatiable. Yea, thou hast played the harlot with them, and couldst not be satisfied. Verse 29. Thou hast moreover multiplied thy fornication in the land of Canaan unto Chaldea, and yet thou hast not satisfied, was not satisfied therewith. Verse 30. How weak is thine heart, saith the Most High Yahweh, seeing that thou dost all these things, the work of an imperious, whorous woman. Verse 31. In that thou buildest thy eminent place in the head of every way, and makest thy high place in every street, and has not been as an harlot, in that thou scornest higher. See, he said, at least a whore gets paid. See, you getting all these lovers of other gods, and you ain't getting nothing. You're not even a proper whore. At least a proper whore gets paid. He said, listen, thou scornest higher. Verse 32. But as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband, they give gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers, and hirest them that they may come in unto thee on every side for thy whoredom. See, when we worship other gods, this is how he looks at it. See, now, brothers and sisters, we're awakening. Before, we come in chains, and they brought them gods to our face, and we had no choice but to worship their gods. They made their image into their God and put it in our face. But now we're awakening to who we are. And now we're returning to the only true God, the Creator. Praise the Most High. Okay? Praise the Most High. But here, this is how it started. So in other words, Israel was paying other nations to bring false gods to them. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms, whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms, in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee. Therefore thou art contrary. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of Yhwh, verse 36. Thus saith the Most High Yhwh, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms with thy lovers, and with all the idols of thy abominations, and by the blood of thy children, which thou didst give unto them, verse 37, behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them that thou hast loved, and with all them that thou hast hated, and I will even gather them round about against thee, and I will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may see all thy nakedness. Verse 38. And I will judge thee as a woman that breaketh wedlock, and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood in fury and jealousy. Verse 39. And I will also give thee into their land, and they shall throw down thine eminent place and break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take thy fair jewels, and leave thee naked and bare. Brothers and sisters, many times, when we were in slavery, if we got married to one of our fellow slaves and the master fancied her, he didn't care if we married her or not. He would take her. And if she got pregnant, he would oftentimes, like Thomas Jefferson did, sell the children. Thomas Jefferson sold most of his slaves to pay debts. His estate had to pay debt. One of the founding fathers sold most of his slaves that he made with Sally Hemings and other women to pay off his debts. Isn't that something? One of the founding fathers, a slaver, rapist. Verse 40. They shall also bring up a company against thee, and they shall stone thee with stones and thrust thee through with their swords. Verse 41. And they shall burn thine houses with fire, and execute judgments upon thee in the sight of many women. And I will cause thee to cease from playing the harlot, and thou also shalt give no hire any more. Verse 42. So will I make my fury go forward thee to rest, my fury toward thee to rest, and my jealousy shall depart from thee, and I will be quiet and will be no more angry. Verse 43. Because thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, but has fretted me in all these things, behold, therefore I also will recompense thy way upon thy head, saith the Most High Yhwh, and thou shalt not commit this lewdness above all thine abomination. So now he's saying once we're punished, he'll bring us back. This is where we're at now. This is where we're at. Verse 44, behold, everyone that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loatheth her husband and her children, and thou art sister of thy sisters, which loatheth their husbands and their children. Your mother was an Hittite, and your father an Amorite. Verse 46. And thine elder sister is Samaria, she and her daughters that dwell at thy left hand. And thy younger sister that dwelleth at thy right hand is Sodom and her daughters. Verse 47. And yet hast thou not walked after their ways, nor done after their abominations, but as it were a very little thing, thou hast corrupted more than in all thy ways. Than they in all thy ways. You weren't just like them, you were worse than them. Verse 48. As I live, saith the Most High Yhwh, Sodom thy sisters have not done, nor she, nor her daughters, as thou hast done, thou and thy daughters. Behold, verse 49, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. Verse 50, and they were haughty and committed abomination before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw good. Verse 51, neither has Samaria committed half of thy sins, but thou hast multiplied thine abominations more than they, and hast justified thy sisters in all thine abominations which thou hast done. Brothers and sisters, this is us going from the nation of Israel to Judaism. And then from Judaism, going into slavery in Islam and in Christianity. This is what we became. This is what we became. Okay? Started right here. In captivity. Remember now, Ezekiel is in the captivity to Babylon. It started there, went down the line till you get to Rome. Then Rome took off, and then we went from Rome to Christianity. The next century, Islam. The century after that, Judaism. And we were involved with all of that. Until now, as we're now returning to our husband. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Verse 52, thou also which hast judged thy sisters, bear thine own shame for thy sins. Thou hast committed more abominable than they. They are more righteous than thou, yea, be thou confounded also, and bear thy shame, in that thou hast justified thy sisters. Verse 53, when I shall bring again their captivity, the captivity of Sodom and her daughters, the captivity of Samaria and her daughters, then will I bring again the captivity of thy captives in the midst of them, that thou mayest bear thine own shame, and mayest be confounded in all that thou hast done, in that thou art a comfort unto them. Verse 55, when thy sisters, Sodom and her daughters, shall return to their former estate, and Samaria and her daughters shall return to their former estate, then thou and thy daughters shall return to your former estate. Verse 56, for thy sister Sodom was not mentioned by thy mouth in the day of thy pride, before thy wickedness was discovered, as at the time of thy reproach of the daughters of Syria, and all that are round about her, the daughters of the Philistines, which despise thee round about. Thou hast borne thy lewdness and thine abomination, saith Yhwh. For thus saith the Most High Yahweh, I will even deal with thee as thou hast done, which hast despised the oath in breaking the covenant. Remember now, he's only made a covenant with us. He hasn't made a covenant with nobody else, just us. See, everybody's talking about the 10 Commandments, but that's the covenant that he made with us. Before he made it with anybody. In fact, he has never made it with anybody else. He's made it with us. Praise the Most High. Verse 60. Nevertheless, I will remember my covenant with thee in the days of thy youth, and I will establish unto thee an everlasting covenant. Then thou shalt remember thy ways, and be ashamed when thou shalt receive thy sisters, thine elder and thy younger. And I will give them unto thee for daughters, but not by thy covenant. And I will establish my covenant with thee, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, that thou mayest remember and be confounded, and never open thy mouth any more because of thy shame, when I have pacified toward thee for all thou hast done, saith the Most High Yahweh. Yes, brothers and sisters, this goes on in chapter 17 as well. He's very upset, as you can see. And that is why the slavery we endured, the ships, the slavery to Arabs in Islam, the slavery to Christians and Europeans, that is why it was so hard. Because our forefathers went buck wild. Buck wild. And so now here you and I are, we're reviewing our past. And we're doing exactly like he said. We are now, you and I are returning to him. We're returning away from the gods of the Europeans, the gods of the Arabs, the gods of the Ashkenazis, and the gods of the Amalekites. We're turning back to our God. Praise the Most High. As he said we would. Returning back to our God. Praise the Most High. So yes, he goes on in 17 with similar sentiments. And then 18, he wraps it up. But it's some stuff, man. It's some stuff for real. He is not playing. Because again, he has not given his statutes, his commandments, his covenant to anybody else, just us. Nobody has ever gotten it. And nobody else ever will, except they with us. Because he restores it in us. See, our restoration, brothers and sisters, is the restoration of us with the Heavenly Father. Okay, with us with the Heavenly Father. It's our restoration with him. And that restoration took place when Messiah was given to us. Messiah came from the tribe of Judah, and he was given to bring us back to restoration with our Father. Okay, the Father used Messiah to cover and forgive our sin. And he used Messiah's perfect righteousness to justify us. And the Father and Messiah speak face to face about us so that we can connect with our Father again. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. So we'll do chapter 17 tomorrow by the grace of the Father. And then chapter 18, he's going to really wrap this up nice in chapter 18. But yes, Ezekiel's a powerful, straight, like we say, no chaser. Straight with no chaser. Ezekiel bring it the way it is, man. That's right. Ezekiel bring it the way it is. And he bring it all the way, all through this book, as we're going to see. Justification by faith is in here. Worshiping man is in here, as we just was reading. Worshiping man's gods. And where he brought us from. The lowest of the low to the highest of the high. Praise the Most High. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, brothers and sisters, till we meet again.